Unit 15. We can call this Unit 15B. This is a continuation of where I left off. So, the Middle East continued to simmer, and the Arab-Israeli problem continued. The Hamas, which was the militant, the Palestinians were divided between two organizations. One was called the Palestine Liberation Organization, and the other was called Hamas. The PLO was more moderate. The Hamas group continued to call for the end of Israel, the end of an Israeli state. And they continued to launch attacks against Israel, both from southern Lebanon as well as from the Palestinian enclave of Gaza. And so in the summer of 2014, the Israelis were provoked into attacking Gaza after rockets fell into Israel. Now, the Israeli response was far out of proportion to the attacks launched by Hamas. And so the international community really strongly criticized the Israelis. And then finally, in the past year, of course, has been the nuclear negotiation treaty with Iran by an international commission composed of China and Japan and Britain and France, the countries that are often called the G8, the developed countries. And so that has been very much in the news recently, and it's a historic meeting. It's very controversial among many quarters in this country, but it's a historic meeting and a historic treaty, and it really represents a victory of diplomacy over military aggression, and it is a international agreement. Now the question is whether the Senate will ratify it or try to overturn it, and that's still, as we speak, under discussion. The other issue significantly in this year of 2015, of course, is the opening of relations with Cuba. And so we don't really have a lot of time to go into that, except to say that there are several factors that account for President Obama's December 17, 2014 speech. One is simply the changing within Cuba itself. Cuba has become not only more open in terms of civil liberties and free expression and less repressive, but also moving towards a more private enterprise type economy, which in Raul's words he calls market socialism. Market socialism means, using more entrepreneurial, private enterprise type activity in addition to the state. In addition to that, another factor has been Obama himself, who believes very strongly in negotiation. He said this in his two books, and he believes very strongly in negotiation rather than confrontation. And finally, another very important factor is the pressure from Latin American countries. Now, at the recent summit conference in Panama, they threatened to boycott the conference. Last year, they threatened to not come to the conference unless Obama opened up relations with Cuba. So the Latin American countries, especially ALBA, and you should remember what that is, look it up, the Latin American countries really put pressure on the U.S., diplomatic pressure, to open up and recognize Cuba. So we are now in a period of flux. The end of the domination, the global dominance of America is over. The end of this kind of special idea that the United States had a special role to play. There have been a number of challenges to American hegemony, and so we're in a reassessment of dominance. This is a period of the reassessment of American dominance, and it's going to be the subject of ongoing conversation, and it'll be certainly a fact in American foreign policy whether the next administration is Republican or Democratic. So this is the end of the video lectures. This is the end of Module 15.